Good morning, or good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer, and this is the Asylum Answers Show. TikTok, good morning, good afternoon. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, how are you? I'm Brian Manning. I'm an ex-asylum officer turned asylum lawyer. And now my law firm, we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. And today I want to answer your questions about winning asylum in the United States. Let me know what questions you have. What do you want to know about asylum in the United States? Good morning, good afternoon. We got Camel who says, hello, sir. I like that enthusiasm, that enthusiastic hello. I like it. He says, or he or she, they say, greetings from the Midwest. Nice. We got Miriam Yaya. Sorry if I mispronounced that, on YouTube saying hi. Hello. We got Mimi Beatty, saying good evening, sir. We got Miriam. Miriam says Ohio. Nice. Hello, TikTok. Raul. Welcome. Dav. Hello, Kathy. Thanks for being with us. Nice. Juanita, thank you very much. Very kind of you. Good to see all of you here in the asylum seeker community. I want to talk with you with folks who are seeking asylum or thinking about seeking asylum, or maybe you know someone who is that you care about and you want to help them stay informed, give them the best help possible. You're in the right place because I'm answering your questions today about winning asylum in America. Really anything having to do with asylum in the USA, I want to answer your questions about it. First of all, though, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to see where you guys are at. If you want to talk with us, by the way, to see if we might be able to help you, go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Again, that's winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule what we call an asylum strategy session to really talk in detail about your case. And we'll tell you whether we think we can help you, whether we're in a position to really add value and help you improve your chances for success in asylum in the United States. Nyang says, hey, good morning. Really appreciated your sessions and updates. Thank you, Nyang. Thanks for that comment. I appreciate that. You're welcome. My pleasure. We got my man Badru says hello from Massachusetts. Thank you for joining, Badru. Good to see you here. I hope you're doing well. Musa says, good morning, Brian. Hello, Musa. Miriam says, I had my interview last week. When will I hear a decision from them? I'll address that question in a couple minutes, okay? Good question. So, look, say hello, let me know where you're watching from, and then start leaving your questions. Leave your questions in the comments, and I'm going to answer them after I tell you about this. Look, the news is full of depressing stories about immigration, right? To be clear, there's no sugarcoating it. It's gotten bad out there. Trump is absolutely carrying out these mass deportations that he said he's going to carry out. People are getting deported. Asylum cases are being denied. It's hard. It's a very difficult environment for immigrants with a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear, to be just completely honest and blunt about it, right? And we're bombarded with this. We see this every day. And, you know, as an asylum lawyer, I can't just sort of ignore the bad news and turn away from it. I need to understand what's going on, and I need to be realistic about what's going on so that my law firm can help people in the best way possible. It means facing the truth, right? It means not ignoring and just keeping our head in the sand and ignoring everything that's going on. So look, I get tired of seeing bad, depressing news every day about immigration and everything that the Trump administration has been doing. And I'm sure that you get tired of it and are probably depressed by it and scared as well. But what I do want to tell you is that there's still hope. Okay? There's still hope to win your asylum case. Look, Trump doesn't want you to win asylum. The administration wants as few immigrants here as possible. They want to kick out as many immigrants as possible. They want as few people to win asylum as possible. But they're still operating within a framework that says that you can get asylum here if you meet certain requirements. They're making it harder to do that. The approval rates are going to go down. I believe that with every passing month that Trump is in power this second time, I believe approval rates are going to go down and down and down over time. But even at the end of the Trump term, there are still going to be some people winning asylum, all right? In my law firm, we helped people win asylum last time that Trump was in office, and we're going to do it this time. In fact, we are doing it this time. We've gotten approvals, asylum approvals, both in immigration court and at the asylum office since Trump has been back in power, okay? We got one yesterday. I was really happy yesterday. Oh, thank you. I was really happy yesterday to see an approval notice from the Asylum office. This was from the San Francisco Asylum office. It was actually for a client who lives in Seattle, which is under the jurisdiction of the San Francisco Asylum office. And this was a special one. This client had been waiting for their interview for a long time. I think it was maybe like 6 years or something. And they hired us to do two things: to sue the government in what we call a mandamus lawsuit, or an asylum delay lawsuit, right? To force USCIS to finally give this person their interview. That was one thing they hired us for, and that worked. We sued, we got the interview. The other thing was to help them win their case, their actual underlying asylum case, to represent them in that, to try to strengthen it on paper, in writing, with documents, and then to prepare them for the interview, including through our mock interview that we do, and then to represent them during the interview. So we did those things, and they got their approval yesterday, okay? This was a case that was a very deserving case, but it's not one that was 100% clear that, oh, this person's definitely going to win. It was kind of honestly, it was kind of a tough case to win, okay? But we did it. We helped this client win. The client worked hard. They worked hard with us. They cooperated with us and did everything we asked of them. They took their case very seriously. They practiced. They did a great job. All right. But it's just one of these cases that I just want to highlight for you that, yeah, we're still winning asylum. People are still winning asylum, even though this administration does not want you to win asylum. It's still happening because there are still certain rules that are being respected. The law is being respected in some ways. And people are still winning asylum. All right. So think about that next time you see the next depressing news item, which honestly, I'm posting every day. I'm posting every day little news updates on our TikTok and our YouTube shorts about immigration, about developments in immigration, and a lot of them are not happy ones. But I think it's important to know what we're up against, to know what's happening, so that we can adjust and respond appropriately. But I want you to remember that when you see these things or you hear these things about not good stories, all hope is not lost. We've been winning asylum cases under Trump, and we're going to keep winning them. All right. So don't give up hope. Don't give up faith. You can take steps proactively to drastically increase your chances for asylum success, and you can still win even under this administration. All right. So keep the faith. Don't give up hope. You can do this. All right. Don't give up. If you want to talk with us about how we might be able to help you, whether we might be able to help you, and if so, how, go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Again, that's winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, to schedule what we call an asylum strategy session. We want you to talk with one of our asylum professionals to see, what's going on. We want to get to know you. We want to get to know your goals, your priorities for your immigration case and the life that you're building in America. And we want to get to know your case. We want to really understand what's happened and understand your situation and tell you whether we think we can help. If so, we're going to tell you how exactly, like what concretely the steps are that we would take to try to give you the best possible chance of securing your future in America through asylum. Okay. So with that, we are going to take some questions. So let me know in the comments what questions you have about asylum, and I want to answer them. For those who've just joined recently, I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, with USCIS, but about 5 years ago, I left the government and I started my law firm, and now my law firm is based in Texas, but it doesn't really matter where it's based because we help people all over the country. So it doesn't matter where you're located. If you think you might want help with your case, we should talk. We help people all over the country. All right. All right. Let's go see who's with us, see what we got. Nice. Thank you for being here. Let's go back to Maram's question, who said, I had my interview last week. When will I get the decision from them? Good question. The question is this: when can you expect to receive your decision after your asylum interview with USCIS? Look, if they tell you to come back, if they say at the end of your asylum interview, they'll tell you how you're going to get your decision. It's either you come back in person or we're going to mail it to you. If they tell you to come back in person, it's almost certainly going to be 2 weeks from the day of your interview. Come back in 2 weeks. If they don't say that, rather they say, oh, we're going to mail it to you. How long? At least 2 weeks. Much more likely, several weeks. Very quite possibly many weeks or even months. And honestly, in some cases, even years. Look, if you've been waiting, if your case has been pending for multiple years, like if you applied several years ago and you still haven't gotten your decision, you can consider suing. If there's a long delay after your interview and you're waiting for the decision, they don't send it to you, you can sue in an asylum delay lawsuit to force them to give you your decision. I talk all the time about suing to force your interview. Well, you can also sue to force your decision. So keep that in mind. We do that for people. We've had success with that. By the way, so yeah, that good question. The question, the mandamus. Good question. The question is this: what exactly is this mandamus lawsuit that I'm always talking about? Yeah. So look, mandamus is a fancy word that it's Latin, I think, that just means like we command or we demand, and we use this to refer to a lawsuit that we bring in a federal court where we're asking a federal judge to make an order that tells USCIS, the Asylum Office, you have to do your job. So the government's supposed to act in a reasonable time on any application. And if they don't do that, you can sue them with this lawsuit. We also call it an asylum delay lawsuit, right? And the judge is just meant to tell USCIS this delay of multiple years is unreasonable given the interview and the decision now. And when the judge talks, USCIS listens. And this is an extremely powerful tool to get your interview scheduled, your asylum interview if you've been waiting for multiple years, or if you've already had the interview, but you applied years ago and you had the interview, but you still haven't gotten the decision, you can use this to get the decision as well. It's a powerful tool. Our clients love it because it works, all right? It works extremely well, and we love suing the government in these mandamus lawsuits. Okay? Yeah, if you want to talk with us, we love this. We love suing the government. Winasylum.com is where you can schedule this consultation with us so we can talk about that in your case. All right, go to winasylum.com. I want to talk with you. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com to schedule your asylum strategy session now. Look, there's a natural follow-up question there. I'm glad you asked it. The follow-up question, the question is this: could suing the government to force them to give you your asylum interview, could that actually be counterproductive and like hurt your underlying asylum case? Look, completely reasonable question, understandable. It makes sense, right, to be concerned about this. Like, well, when it's time for my interview, is the asylum officer going to sort of hold it against me, the fact that I sued, or does it look bad in their eyes? Is it going to hurt my case? No. Look, I say this with full confidence. We've filed like over 100 of these in the last, year and a half. And I can tell you with supreme confidence, I believe it will not hurt your underlying asylum case. 3 reasons. The officer who does your interview might not even know that you sued. When I was an officer with the government, asylum officer, we didn't know that someone had sued to get their interview. That information just wasn't in the asylum file that we had. Second, even if they do know, I don't think they'll care. Not a big deal. We sue all the time in the U.S. For us, it's not a big deal. It's understandable as well. Third, they cannot formally use this factor against you as like a negative factor to justify a negative decision. It's just not one of the things they can point to justify a denial, okay? Look, I don't think it will hurt your case at all. So don't let that stop you, all right? All right, let's go to the questions. What do we have? We have Mohammed MK says, hello, Mr. Brian. Hello, good to see you. Mimi Berry says, I'm watching from Philadelphia. Nice. Ooh, the home of the world champion, the Super Bowl champion, Eagles. Nice. For those of you who like American football, that's the home of the Philadelphia Eagles. Camel says, can I marry a U.S. citizen while my asylum case is pending? The question is this: can you marry a U.S. citizen and get status through that marriage while you have an asylum case pending? Well, look, you can definitely get married. The question is, will that benefit you? Can you get the green card through that while your asylum case is pending? The fact that you have an asylum case pending will not affect your potential marriage-based green card case in any way. It won't help your green card case. It won't hurt your green card case. It just has no impact on it. Whether you'll be able to actually qualify for the green card based on that marriage can be tricky. Look, I mean, the general answer is like, yes, most people are in a position to do it, and it's a good way to get status. It's higher approval rates than asylum cases, for sure. However, you need to talk with an immigration lawyer who focuses on marriage-based immigration before I think you apply for that to see what they think, all right? Good news is that if you do that, if you file a marriage-based case, it will not affect your asylum case. It won't hurt it and it won't help it. The two are just really independent of each other. So if you might be eligible for both, then yeah, pursue both. I recommend that people pursue every possible route to status they might have if they have like a real chance. After consulting with an immigration lawyer who focuses on that thing, then yeah, go for it. Okay. Mohammed MK says, Brian, can we sue USCIS for delaying green card processing time based on asylee? Yes. Good question. The question is this. Can you bring a mandamus lawsuit, like one of these delay lawsuits, to force USCIS to make a decision on your green card application where you're applying for that green card as an asylee? So we're talking here about someone who won asylum, and then they go and they submit their application for their green card based on this, and then it takes USCIS a long time to give them a decision. Yeah, you can definitely sue to force the government to give you a decision on your green card application. You got to consider what the normal processing time is for this. Look, with asylum cases, like if you're trying to sue to force your interview or decision in your asylum case, there's no benchmark. There's no posting of like the average processing time of what it normally takes them to do that. There's no publicly available information about this for asylum, but there is for the processing of a green card based on asylum. And so when your waiting time goes well beyond that, what's posted as like the sort of the mean or the average, then yeah, you're in a good position to sue and have success with forcing them to give you a decision for this application. And we could help you with that. Okay. Santhosh says, hi sir, I follow your videos and it's very useful and gives confidence. Nice. Confidence. I like that you use that word. That is, that's something that we're really proud to help people get, is confidence and certainty about their future. When you win asylum, that's what you get. Our clients tell us all the time, like Brian, when we came to your law firm, I was in limbo. I was uncertain and tired of this sort of fear that comes with not having confidence about whether I could stay safe, whether I could stay here. But the good news is they tell us that when they win asylum, that it's like their life changes from one day to the next. When they get that asylum approval, they tell us, Brian, it's like I can finally breathe easy. I feel like a huge weight's been lifted off my shoulders because now I have confidence about my future. Now I have certainty, that I can stay safe and stay here and build the life here that I've dreamed of building. And so that's huge. And we're really proud to play a role in our clients getting that. Doc Schmital says, I have my hearing next year in February. Can ICE officers call me anytime for an interview before the hearing, since Trump passed a law that says allows ICE officers to call anyone who entered in the last 2 years? Look, ICE can call any immigrant who is here that doesn't have status. They can request that you come to a meeting with them at any time. And is it more likely that, if you've been here less than 2 years? Yeah, it's more likely. I mean, is it overall likely though that just, someone that has an immigration court case pending is going to be detained by ICE while they're waiting for that hearing? I would say the chances of that happening are not high. It's not a high risk, but it's possible. We have seen it happen some. Usually in most cases, it's only people that have some kind of criminal record, but I have seen reports of people with no criminal record that have been detained by ICE while waiting for their court hearings. All right. I continue to think that having an asylum application is the best way to protect yourself from being detained and quickly deported. Okay. So if you fear being harmed in your country and you haven't yet applied for asylum, I strongly urge you to talk with an asylum lawyer right away about whether applying for asylum might make sense for you. Okay. I'm an asylee from Houston. Rexrum says, I applied in August 2017. Applied for what in August 2017? Your green card or asylum? One question I want to ask in the current situation: will it be a wise decision if I move to California before my interview? Well, look, if you're talking about getting an interview for a green card application based on asylum, you might or might not have an interview. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Probably more common to have them under Trump than it was under Biden. Look, I think this is a case where you should just live where you want to live. I don't think you should base it around, the immigration implications. I think it's going to be roughly the same. I mean, look, if you end up having an interview in your cases in California, yes, there's a higher approval rate. Well, I don't know this for sure. I assume though, with high confidence, that the approval rates for green cards based on asylum is probably higher in California than it is in Texas. I assume that's the case. I'm pretty sure it probably is. So would it help a little bit to be in California? I mean, yeah, some at least. But with a green card case based on asylum, I mean, look, if you don't have any complicating factors, I probably wouldn't move just because of that. Okay. Ooh. Nice. The Science of Everything, who's been on our asked us questions here we've engaged before, says, I got my interview notice yesterday and I'll be going to Minnesota. Do you think it's a good place? Also, I tried reaching out if you can only help me with ARM. When's your interview? Congratulations on getting the interview notice. When is the Science of Everything? When is your interview? It depends on when it is. If we've got a month, we can help you with more than just the asylum roadmap. If we've got a month, we can do what we call a full a full representation, where we do the asylum roadmap plus the interview preparation plus actual representation on the day of your interview. If we've got a few weeks, all right. If it's like next week, then all we could do is a mock interview, the practice interview. Okay. But it just, look, have you done a consultation with us, the Science of Everything? Because that's where you got to start. All right. So we can really understand your case and make sure we think that we can add value. Make sure we think you have at least some chance to win. Because look, we don't take cases. I don't feel comfortable with people paying me thousands of dollars for a case if I think they have like no chance for success and we can't help them at all. I don't want to take your money if I think you have no chance for success. So we need to talk with you in a consultation first about this and get to know you, get to know your case, and see if we think we're in a position to help you. So look, I checked a few hours ago and we had like 1 or 2 slots, consultation slots available for this week. Let me check right now. And then there was a few at the second half of next week. There was some. Okay, no, there's no more I thought there was 1 or 2 left for tomorrow, but those got snagged. So there's 1 spot available on Monday, and then we've got availability, a few spots on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. So look, but those are going to fill up fast. Like by the end of the weekend, those will probably be all full for next week. So look, if you want to talk with us, go right now, like literally right now. Don't open up a new tab on your computer or your phone and go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, and schedule that consultation now. Science of Everything, crucial, absolutely crucial. If your interview's coming up quickly, we need to talk with you if we haven't yet, okay? To see if we can help you, and if so, how, all right? Okay, let's see. Is it possible to win asylum when you got a negative credible fear determination by the officer and the judge? All the information was not allowed to be stated or put forth. Amy asked that. Not really, because you're not even going to be allowed to apply for asylum. No one will accept your application, because if you get a negative credible fear determination that is upheld by an immigration judge, usually the person gets deported within like days of that. But you're not eligible in that scenario to even apply for asylum. Like if you fill out an application form and try to file it with the immigration court or with USCIS, they'll both reject it. They'll say, we don't have jurisdiction over this because you're in what's called expedited removal proceedings, and you can't have an asylum claim considered. So the answer, unfortunately, is like no. Okay. I'm sorry to have that bad news for you. By guy says, hey everybody, hello, glad to see you, glad you're here. A person over on TikTok. Couldn't really understand your question though. I'm sorry. Hi sir, if application submitted via mail, how long will it take to get an acknowledgement and biometrics in Florida? Oh, you should have done it by online. Look, the question is this: if you apply for asylum with USCIS by mail, how long is it going to take to get your case initiated, to get that asylum receipt notice, the application receipt notice? Look, we're talking here about the letter you get after you apply that says from USCIS saying, hey, we received your application. The case is now pending. We've accepted it. It's pending. It's in the system and it's processing as of X date. You have permission to stay in the country while your case is pending. There's a sentence that says that, which gives people comfort. How long does it take to get that letter if you apply and then get the biometrics appointment, which can only happen after USCIS does that step I just described? If you apply by mail, honestly, we've been seeing it take like 7 to 12 months. It's a super slow process if you apply by mail. That's one of the reasons why I strongly encourage people to apply for asylum with USCIS if they're eligible to do so online through a My USCIS account, because then you get the asylum receipt notice and the whole process starts. Usually you get that receipt notice like immediately upon submit or within minutes or like the next business day. It's just in general also, it's just better to apply online. Apply for asylum online, not by mail. Okay. All righty. Let's go. What questions do we have? For those of you who just joined recently, I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, with USCIS. But now, as an asylum lawyer, well, my law firm helps immigrants all over the country, to secure their future in America through asylum. Okay? Yeah, good question. This is an interesting question. Warris says, I'm working in a methadone treatment facilities where we treat drug addicts. Is this a possible cause to expedite my case, mentioning national interest of U.S.? Good question. The question is this. Can the fact that you're doing important, meaningful, helpful work here in the United States, can that help you to get your asylum interview with USCIS expedited to speed up your case? No. Look, so the question was from someone who said they work in a methadone clinic where they're trying to where they treat drug addicts for methadone addiction. And I can see where, you might think, oh, I'm doing this like work that's in the public interest. Like I'm trying to help drug addicts. It's something that, the American society should value. And, maybe that will help the asylum office to say like, oh, you deserve your interview faster. And the answer really, then no, it doesn't work like that. You can sometimes get an expedite based on what are called urgent humanitarian concerns. But honestly, that rarely works. You know what does work? Suing the government. If you've been waiting multiple years for your interview, you should consider suing the government, what's called a mandamus lawsuit. We also call it an asylum delay lawsuit. Now, this works. Our clients love it because it works, all right? To get your interview scheduled. Ashok says, does having a declaration from a friend help to prove future risk, but he's not able to testify in court because he's in my native country? The question is, good question. The question is this. Can having a declaration, like a written statement from a witness, help your asylum case, even if that person isn't here to actually like testify in person? The answer is yeah, for sure. We, in my law firm, we all the time use written statements, declarations from people that tell the asylum officer or judge things that they need to know about the case that the person has firsthand knowledge of. Like if it's a witness that personally saw or experienced bad things happening to you, harm or threats, or who can speak to the fact that you in fact possess one of the 5 protected characteristics under U.S. asylum law that puts you at risk. If they can talk about these things in a declaration, then it can be helpful, even if they're not here in person. At the asylum office, it's super rare to have witnesses come in person. I don't recommend it. Immigration court, it's more common and can be helpful, but you should still, if you can get a declaration but not have them testify in court or even by video conference, then you should still use the declaration. Declaration is helpful even without in-person or virtual testimony. Okay. But you got to do it carefully. Sometimes these declarations or evidence in general can be counterproductive, right? If it contains things that look like inconsistencies with other aspects of your case, it can actually hurt your case. And we've seen that with people. That happen to people a lot, okay? Deshanti says, my husband lodged asylum in 2021, New York, still not received the interview. How long will it take for this to process? Are you talking about with the asylum office? If your husband applied for asylum in 2021, you're in a pretty good position to have success with forcing your interview through a mandamus lawsuit, all right? We've helped lots of people do this. Listen, let me start with a caveat, okay? I got to say that past results do not guarantee future success or future results, okay? Having said that, I want to tell you that We filed over 100 of these lawsuits in the last maybe year and a half or so, and we haven't lost one of these cases yet, one of these lawsuits. Look, that doesn't guarantee that we're going to win them all in the future, but I want you to know that it's a very powerful tool. It works really, really, really well, okay? So if you're sick of waiting for your interview, you want to get your interview so that you can win your case and finally have confidence and certainty about your future in America, then you should consider this. You should consider suing. And, that's another question that comes up. And the question is this: why might you want to consider suing the government to force your asylum interview to have it faster? Because look, I get it. People sometimes are like, Ryan, you know what? With the Trump administration, maybe I'll just sort of lay back and hang back and not push this thing forward, and I'll just wait, and maybe I'll outwait them, and maybe I'll get lucky and my interview will be in 5 years when Trump's gone, and better chance for success. I disagree with that approach. I think the sooner you get your interview, the better your chances for success. All right. There's multiple reasons for this, just to list a couple or a few. Look, with every passing year, the officer is more likely to say, oh yeah, like, I understand some bad things happened or you were threatened or whatever, but that was a long time ago. Why would someone want to hurt you now after all of this time? That's how a lot of asylum officers think. Okay. Also, there's just the Trump effect. Trump is bringing with him both policies and a general anti-immigrant atmosphere that I believe is going to lead to more denials with every passing month. I think in year 4 of Trump, the denial rate is going to be very, very much higher than it is now. Okay. Also, conditions in your country could change in a way, or could look like they've changed in a way that hurts your asylum case. So there's multiple reasons why I think that the sooner you get your asylum interview and your decision, the better. So that's why you should consider suing at least, to force your interview now. Mohammed says, thank you so much for your information. You're a perfect lawyer. Thank you. Very kind of you. Nice. Above and Beyond says, we were pending for 7 years. We won our case. We won last month by suing. Decision in 2 weeks. That's what I say. Usually you get the decision about 2 weeks after your interview, if you sue. If you don't sue, you just get your interview normally, organically. It's usually several weeks or months or longer to get your interview. But when you sue, another benefit in addition to getting your interview soon is that you actually get the decision quickly after the interview. We watched all your trainings, both Spanish and English, Chicago Asylum Office. Nice. Glad to hear that. Above and Beyond. Thank you very much for commenting. And congratulations on your win. That's awesome. Another life changed forever. Congratulations. That's great news. All right. Doc says, I'm here with my wife and daughter. I've just started my private business in my name and I'm paying taxes. I have no criminal record. Can all these points help me in getting the asylum approved easily? Good question. The question is this. Will the fact that you've got a lot of positive things going on in your life that you can point to, will that help you to win your asylum case? So for example, people all the time say, Brian, look, I don't have any criminal record. I started a business in the United States, and maybe they're even employing Americans. You're an employer of Americans, and you're paying your taxes. And you've got your wife and your spouse and your kids here, and maybe you even do community service like charity work to help people in need. All that stuff is great. It looks great. It sounds great. Will it help you win your asylum case? No. Look, maybe a tiny bit of help, only psychologically, subconsciously, maybe in the officer's mind, but none of that gives you any formal boost. It doesn't give you any kind of bonus points. It's not relevant. It is not relevant to the asylum analysis of whether you meet all the requirements for asylum. And that's what the asylum officer cares about. They don't want to hear about that stuff. They don't want to hear about that. They want to hear about the facts that speak to your eligibility for asylum based on the strict asylum criteria. Okay. I know it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. And to be honest with you, this is a big mistake that a lot of people, asylum seekers, make. They don't know what the officer really wants, what the officer really needs to hear. And so they go into the interview and they try to talk about this stuff. They try to find ways to fit this stuff into the interview. And the asylum officer gets frustrated. They go, no, I'm not asking you about that. Don't talk about that. I want to know this. And this is the stuff, the different elements of what you have to show to win asylum. Okay. And so it becomes frustrating for the officer when people try over and over to keep circling back to this stuff. The officer doesn't care about that stuff. Okay. So what you need to understand is, what does the officer need to know? What do they need to see to understand and do their analysis and conclude that yes, you qualify for asylum? And I've got lots of training videos about this. This one came up yesterday. Go to our YouTube channel and search for Asylum Chips Framework. CHIPS, kind of like a potato chip that you eat. Chips, CHIPS, Asylum Chips Framework. That is a very detailed training video that I made that explains to you exactly what the asylum officer cares about. Okay, and that's going to help you to prepare both your written materials and to prepare for your testimony, to prepare to answer questions in a way that directly gives the officer exactly what they need in order to see that, yeah, you deserve asylum, you qualify for asylum. Okay. By the way, for those of you on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, go to YouTube. YouTube's where I have all my best stuff. All right, I've got some very detailed tutorials and trainings on YouTube that I think are really going to help you to increase your chances for success if you want to study them. If you're serious, like if you're serious about giving yourself the best possible chance, taking every advantage, every opportunity to improve your chances for success, go to YouTube. My channel is called Political Asylum Lawyers. So go to YouTube and search Political Asylum Lawyers. You'll see my picture. It's a red background on the icon with my face on it. Political Asylum Lawyers YouTube channel, and go to the playlists, and you're going to see playlists with lots of detailed training videos about things you need to know about to give yourself the best chance of winning asylum. Listen, the science of everything. You said your interview is March 18th. Look, if you hire us like tomorrow, we would have time to do the full representation. Have you already done a consultation with us? I hope so, because if you hire us like tomorrow, we would have time to do the full representation, which is to say the asylum roadmap, the preparation, and the representation. But we got to move quick. We got to move now to have time to do that stuff. All right. Let me know. Have you already done the consultation with us? All right. All right. Okay. Lana, oh, this is a good question. Lana Vasilievna. Привет, Lana. Says, hi, Brian. I know it's important to have a lawyer in the asylum process. Is it necessary to have a country of origin expert as well? Good question. Let me address it like this. The question is this. Do you need to have a declaration or perhaps actual testimony in your asylum case from a country conditions expert? So look, sometimes in asylum cases, you can use, if you want to, you can use an expert who helps inform the asylum officer or the judge about the conditions in your country. And this can be an important part of the case, right? Of showing that you meet the requirements for asylum. At the asylum office, it's very rare to include an expert testimony, like definitely not in person. I would not do it in person. In very rare cases, it can make sense to do it in writing. Immigration court, it's much more common, and I think is more appropriate, probably more helpful, I should say. But it depends on where you're from. Look, judging by your last name, I'm guessing you're from Eastern Europe. Probably not necessary, honestly. My law firm, we're really good at finding country conditions information and leveraging it in our legal brief in a way that makes the points we need to make, and it's not necessary to get a country conditions expert to have a report to supplement that. In some cases, if it's an obscure issue or a country about which there's just not much information publicly, in English at least, then yeah, it can make more sense. Okay. But look, Lana, do you want to tell us where you're from? If you're from Russia or Ukraine, you do not need a country conditions expert opinion or anything. Okay, I don't think. It's my opinion at least, because there's tons of very good information out there that says the things that we would need to say to support your case. That's not something you need to drill down to. I mean, look, maybe. Well, I shouldn't say for sure no. Like maybe it depends on what kind of case you have. So maybe, but probably I will. After I understand your case, I think I will probably tell you that I think it's unnecessary to have a country conditions expert if you're from Eastern Europe. All right. I want to go to the Army after I get my green card. Is there a national interest to expedite my case? Lo- Good question. The question is this. Will the fact that you want to join the U.S. military once you're eligible to, will that help you to possibly get your asylum interview quicker to expedite your case with USCIS? No. Simple answer. No, it won't. Look, this fact, it may have a tiny bit of positive psychological, maybe sort of subconscious impact on the asylum officer deciding your case. I mean, it can't hurt, right? It only looks good, but it's not a formal factor in helping you to win your case. Like, it's not something they account for in doing their actual analysis they have to do of whether you meet all of the eligibility requirements for asylum. And same with when you're trying to expedite your case or get your interview. No, it's not. It will not help you at all to get your interview quicker or expedited. It's not a reason they will consider as something valid to speed up your case. But you know what does work? Suing the government in a mandamus lawsuit. We've done this a ton lately in my law firm, and our clients absolutely love it because it works. If you're sick of waiting, we should talk about suing the government to force progress in your asylum case. Okay, you can schedule that with us at winasylum.com. Go to WINASYLUM.com. Schedule that now. As I was saying earlier, look, these spots are filling up quickly. There's none left for Thursday for today or tomorrow, but there's one or two spots for Monday. There's some availability for later in the week, but those are probably going to fill up in the next day or two. So if you want to talk with us, do it now. Go schedule your consultation now. Go to winasylum.com. WINASYLUM.com. Okay. Jeremy Lamaquila says hello. Good to see you. Protham says, is it true that people coming now, like in March 2025, can't apply for asylum on a visa under the Trump administration? Is he going to shut down asylum completely on a visa? Good question. The question is this. Can people who come to the United States now on a visa, can they even apply for asylum, or is Trump shutting that down and saying, no, you can't even apply? Well, look, good news. They can still apply for asylum. There was an announcement at the time I'm making this. There was an announcement on like February 19th that they're pausing temporarily consideration of immigration applications, including asylum applications, for certain people who came here on certain humanitarian parole programs. But that would not apply to people that came here on a visa. It's only for certain parole programs. It's not everyone. And it would not apply to people who come here on a visa, like a student visa or a tourist visa or a H-1B business visa or a J-1 visa. So no, there's nothing out there that suggests that you can't apply for asylum. You can apply for asylum. We're doing it every day. And we're winning cases. Even under Trump, we are winning asylum cases. There's hope. Okay. Please, Mohammed Mustafa Danishar says, I'm an Afghan, came to the U.S. with a J-1 visa as a student, applied for asylum in 2018, interviewed in 2021, got an email in 2024 that said, we believe what you're saying, but my case still shows pending decision. Mohammed, let's sue them. Mohammed, please schedule a consultation with us. I want you to talk with one of my colleagues, one of our asylum professionals, about your situation. We need to make sure that we think it's a good idea. It probably is based on what you've told me here, but we need to ask some questions and go a little bit deeper to make sure that we think it's a good idea. And if we think if we say yes, then there's a very good chance of winning, of getting your decision, okay, through a mandamus lawsuit. I think it's in your best interest to get your decision as soon as possible. All right. Look, Mohammed, we have seen Trump cozying up to dictators in the last weeks, right? He's negotiating he's turned his back on Ukraine. He's absolutely turned his back on Ukraine and is cozying up to Vladimir Putin of Russia. He is probably going to be negotiating with Modi of India in a way that is going to be really surprising. Look, we've seen it with Venezuela as well, with sending a senior level envoy to Caracas to negotiate with Venezuela. these things, these potential changes in our political posture and our international relations will affect asylum cases. Okay. So look, Mohammed, what I'm saying is, who knows? Donald Trump could go befriend the Taliban next month, next week, and or because of transactional reasons, because he thinks there's something to gain in terms of power or prestige or money, and that could hurt your chances. If that happens, if we have rapprochement, if we sort of make nice with the Taliban, or even a little bit, well, guess what happens? Next year's human rights report from the State Department might use a little bit softer language on them. It might say that, you know what? They're doing a little better. They're making some efforts. They're making some progress in respecting human rights. I know that this happens. And by this, I mean, I know that our critical reports that are used in asylum cases, including the State Department's human rights report, I know that politics enter into this. And that it's not all straightforward, objective analysis, clear-eyed analysis, but rather it's political. I know this because I've worked on that report. Before I was an immigration officer with USCIS, I was a diplomat, okay? And I've worked at multiple embassies, U.S. embassies, on this report, and I know that politics play into this. And I know that I believe there's a very real chance that the next human rights report might be a little bit nicer on Russia, might be a little bit nicer on India, might be a little bit nicer on Venezuela, might be a little bit nicer on Afghanistan. And that's going to hurt your chances for success. If your decision is made after that, those more favorable to those countries' reports come out, it's going to hurt your chances for winning. Okay? Because the officer is going to say, oh, you know what, Mohammed, before we make this final decision, it looks like things are getting a little bit better now. You'll probably be okay if you go back. So no, you don't need asylum here. Okay? So that's why I'm not just talking to Muhammad about this. I'm talking to everyone. The risk of your case being undermined because of politics, because of changes in our political posture and our international relations and our relationships is very real. And it could severely damage your chances for winning asylum. If you've been waiting for multiple years, I think it makes sense to consider suing to get your interview now, as soon as possible before you run this risk, okay? So Mohammed, listen, go to winasylum.com, schedule your consultation. We should talk about suing to get your decision, okay? Jenny asks again, asks how long to get a decision after an asylum interview. At least several weeks usually, often many weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years, okay? All right, let's go. Valenza Smith says, do you assist in helping people with the application process? Good question. The question is this: does my law firm help people actually apply for asylum, or do we only step in sort of after the fact and help with the rest of the case? Absolutely. We start from the beginning. We love to start from the beginning. Look, I was actually looking at our approval rates the other day, and they're high. They're a lot. They're way higher than the national average approval rates for people. But something interesting really stood out to me. I mean, this is to be expected, but it was interesting to see it confirmed in our data and our statistics. Our approval rate is higher when people hire us from the beginning of the case, rather than when people hire us after they've already applied. Then they come to us and need help with the rest. Why? We help them with the application, and we set the stage with that application. We come up with the strategy for the case, the theory of the case, and we start working on it from the beginning, and it's just better. It's just better when we can get involved from the very beginning. So yeah, hire us before you apply, not after. But if you've already applied, yes, we can still help you then too. Okay. Yeah, nice. So is it true? Where was that? Gogi says, is it true that people who entered after June 5th, 2023 can't get asylum, but only CAT? Look, yeah, it's tricky. It's complicated. There are rules that say that people that came after a certain date in 2023 are it's not 100%, but there's like a presumption that you're ineligible for asylum. It's complicated. There are exceptions to that rule, and even if you can't get asylum, you could still get this protection under the Convention Against Torture and withholding of removal. But look, it only applies to people that come to the southern border without a visa, not to people who came on a visa and not to people who came through the CBP-1 application. Okay, but even then, like, you treat it the exact same as an asylum case. You still need to apply for asylum if you want protection, and you treat it like an asylum case, and you try to actually win asylum. It's not a total deal breaker. It doesn't mean it's impossible to win asylum. Okay. Very good question. Vitaly says, when it comes to asylum interview with USCIS, are they prepared regarding your case? Do they study your case? Do they already know what's in your personal statement? Very good question. The question is this: what does the asylum officer know about you and your case before you set foot in their office for your asylum interview with USCIS? So look, the officer receives your packet, like your file, at least a few days before the interview, usually a couple, but they're often so busy that they don't have a lot of time to really get to know the case in a thorough, deep way. At a minimum, they will almost certainly have read your application carefully and any personal statement or declaration that you've submitted, okay? They usually read those two things carefully. If they have time, they're going to probably go through and look for inconsistencies in your case, in all of your documents, and see if there's anything that doesn't match up, doesn't line up, so they can use it against you as an excuse to deny you. But look, you can't assume going into your interview that they really know your case, all right? They're overwhelmed. Sometimes they don't have the time to even really read it at all. And you can't just rely on your documents. You should never say in an interview, oh, like I talked about in my statement, or oh, it's in my evidence. No. You need to tell them in the interview everything that you want them to know, because they might not have read the evidence or the documents carefully, or they might not care to go back to them afterwards. So you got to get it all on the record with your testimony at your asylum interview. Okay. Rexstrom says Asylum. Oh, we already talked about that, Rexry. Вот. Ладно. Давайте поговорим. Let's talk. Раньше говорил по-русски. Сейчас, к сожалению, нет. Забыл все. Yeah, so I'm a Russophile. I really find Eastern Europe and Russia and the former Soviet Union very interesting. Lana, I minored in Russian. I studied Russian at university, and I studied 3 times in St. Petersburg. Amazing city, lovely city. And I've spent a little bit of time in Ukraine as well, and then sort of also in South Central and Southeast Europe when I was a diplomat. So love that part of the world. Does the immigration judge check if you paid your taxes or not at the immigration court? Good question. The question is this: is the immigration judge or the asylum officer in your case going to actually like check and see if you've paid your taxes? No. Look, I encourage you to follow all laws and rules. If you are supposed to be paying, if you're subject to U.S. taxes, like you're someone who should be paying them, then I encourage you to pay them. I think you should pay them. But is the judge or asylum officer in your case going to know whether you have or not? Almost certainly not. Almost certainly. I've never, look, I was an asylum officer with USCIS. I've been an asylum lawyer for several years now. I've never heard this come up in the context of an asylum case. Okay. And even if they know that you have not paid your taxes, it would not keep you from getting asylum. Like, well, technically, I guess it could, because there is an element of discretion in these cases, but I think it would be extremely surprising if that fact alone kept you from winning asylum, okay? But look, pay your taxes, all right? All right. We have got... Can you also... Besad says, can you also make videos about religion-based asylum cases? Sure. What do you want to know, Besad? What do you want to know about religion-based asylum cases? All right. Let me know what you want to know, and I'll make a video about it. I'll try to sometime soon. Khalid says the Iraqi parliament's already demanded the suspension of the work of the embassy, consulate, and UNHCR that deals with the LGBTQ plus community. That's a shame. Besad, if you've got a case based on religion, we'd love to talk with you. We have a lot of these. We do a lot of these cases. We've had a lot of success with religion cases. Yeah. Yang says, can CYD visa asylee win? Can you win asylum? Yes. Look, it depends on whether you have your interview at the asylum office or instead they pass your case straight to immigration court. Depends on whether you were admitted on the C1 status or on the D status. It's a little bit tricky, but like we should talk about it. Okay. Like I want one of our professionals to see what's going on in your case and tell you in more detail with more confidence whether we think you can get asylum. Okay. Annette by His Grace says, do you have an office in Dallas? Like, no, we're based in Houston, but Annette, it doesn't matter. We help people all over the country. We have a lot of clients in Texas where we're based, but we have tons of clients in California, New York, Florida, around Chicago, Atlanta, all this, everywhere in between, Denver. It doesn't matter. Like we're going to do everything up until the day of if you're individual hearing in immigration court, we're going to do everything up until that point virtually anyway. Even for people in Houston, we do it by the case development stuff. We do it by video conference and online. So it doesn't matter where you are. Okay. We help people all over the country. Mimi Beatty says, I applied for asylum without a lawyer. Can I hire a lawyer now? Good question. The question is this: can you hire an asylum lawyer now after you've already applied for asylum, or is it too late? Like, do you have to apply from the beginning? And if you don't do that, it's too late. Like, you're not allowed to later. The answer is that thankfully you can still hire one now, even though you applied for asylum on your own. Look, it's better to have one from the beginning to sort of frame the case properly in the application process. It's much better. But don't let that stop you from getting one now if you've already applied. There is a lot that a good asylum lawyer can still do, even after you've applied, to help you improve your chances for success. We have a 3-step program called our Asylum Action Plan. We're gonna support the case in writing, what we call an asylum roadmap, to submit a filing where we show the officer exactly how to get to the answer yes in your case in the easiest way possible. Second step is preparation, full-scale mock interview and a follow-up session where you will experience everything you're going to experience on the day of the real interview with all of our feedback and best tips. And then third is the representation. On the day of your interview representing you, make sure the officer understands your case and sees exactly how you meet the eligibility requirements. So there's still a lot we can do to help you. So let's talk. All right, let's talk. I want to talk. Mimi Betty, will you please go to winasylum.com and schedule a consultation now? Go right now. Go schedule a consultation right now, okay? We want to talk with you, all right? Now, C says, hi, can I ask something? Of course, ask away. Now, C, I want you to ask your question, all right? How is the Trump administration affecting asylum seekers? Good question. Let's address that. The question is this. What impact are we seeing on asylum seekers because of the Trump administration? Look, everyone's seen in the news the mass deportation effort that Trump is carrying out. So a lot of people are getting deported, right? But what is Trump doing specifically on asylum? Well, pretty much sealed off the southern border such that there's virtually no asylum seekers coming to the border now or getting through the border. But for people that are already here or that come in on a visa and then apply for asylum still exists. It's still a thing. You can still win asylum. We got an approval yesterday that I was really proud of. My team worked really hard on it. And we're still winning cases, even under Trump and his efforts to kick out as many immigrants as possible. So look, it is going to be harder under Trump. I believe that with every passing month that Trump is in power, the approval rate is going to go down. That's why if you're considering applying, I think you should apply as soon as possible. If you've been waiting for multiple years for your interview, I think you should consider suing the government to force your interview now so that you don't get it 3 or 4 years from now when all the Trump stuff is in full effect. And it will be, I believe, much harder at that point to win your case. Okay? I believe that strongly. Juan Fernandez says, I want to withdraw your asylum case. Okay. Do you guys do that? No, we wouldn't. We don't take cases just to try and do voluntary departure. We don't do that. But Juan, you can find an immigration lawyer who does for sure. Okay. Um, Now, he says, I have my first hearing. If I don't accept the charges at the first hearing, what will the judge do? Good question. They'll ask you a lot of questions about it, and they may make a decision, and they'll ask the government lawyer questions about it too, and they may make a decision right there to say whether they accept, whether they believe the charges or not, and order you removed, but or determine that you are removable, but then ask you, if you want to seek relief from the removal, including in the form of asylum. Okay, so they may make a decision on this issue of the charges right then and there, or they may schedule another hearing and they may ask you to write a legal brief about it and ask DHS to write a legal brief too. So you might get a decision that day, you might not, but you'll have to try to, if you're saying the charges are not true, hopefully you have some arguments that you can use to, or evidence that you can use to show the judge why the charges are not correct. Okay. Okay. Sonia says, do you have an ICE check-in meeting in April? There are people saying there are interview held. Should I go to report to ICE or skip it? What should I do? I think you should go to your ICE appointments. Look, when the Department of Homeland Security, which ICE is a part of, when they tell you that you need to show up for something, I believe you should show up. Same with the immigration court. I believe you should go to your court hearings. Yeah, Sonia, that's my opinion. I think you should go. Okay. Caleb says, question on firm resettlement. I was granted residence permit in Turkey before coming to the U.S. and applying for asylum. My residence permit in Turkey didn't allow me to work. Any advice? Was it permanent residence? Like what was it called and what was it based on? Caleb. So yeah, the question is this. Will you be ineligible for asylum in the United States under the firm resettlement bar if you were in another country before coming here, a third country, and you had some kind of residency permit or residence permission, but it wasn't really allowing you to live normally? Like, for example, if you couldn't work legally under that residence status that you had, if they said, nope, you can't work. Look, it's tricky. We would need to really know about this in detail to really tell you with confidence what we think. But there's a good argument to be made that the firm resettlement bar does not apply because the conditions on your residency were too restricted to really count as permanent residency in the way that term is used, at least in the U.S. immigration law context. So I think that based on what you've said, I think there's hope for overcoming the firm resettlement bar, for making a convincing argument that it does not keep you from getting asylum. But we need to know the facts, and you got to be ready to make good arguments about this. It's a tricky issue. All right? It's tricky. Nalcy says, you are the best. Thank you, Nalcy. Appreciate it. You're welcome. Oh, Caleb, you had your permit there was for medical tourism? Oh, no, you should be fine. It doesn't sound permanent to me. Sometimes the U.S. government tries to argue, oh no, that what you had was permanent because you could renew it a few times, as an argument to support a finding that the firm resettlement bar applies. But I think if it's medical tourism and you couldn't work, that's pretty clear to me that is not the kind of permanent residency that would count as permanent residency for purposes of the firm resettlement analysis. Okay. All right. Do you think asylum can be done with the Trump administration? Asks Osama Yassin. Yeah, we won a case yesterday. We got the asylum approval notice yesterday. We've been winning cases under Trump. We won them last time under Trump. We've won them this time under Trump. We're going to keep winning them under Trump. Now, listen, it's true. It's going to be harder. It is going to be harder. The approval rate overall is going to go down. But it's not impossible. I don't think it's going to be impossible. But you got to work harder than ever. You got to present a really, really, really good case. Okay. And be really, really prepared. So yeah, it's possible. You can do it. All right. Have hope. All right. What should I do? How long after being in the States illegally can you apply for asylum? Good question. The question is this. Can you apply for asylum if you've been in the United States without permission for a while already? Look, yeah, whether you have immigration status now and also whether you even had it ever doesn't impact your ability to apply for asylum. In other words, you can apply for asylum even if you came here without a visa. Or if you came here with a visa, but then it expired, now you don't have status, you can still apply for asylum. But there is the issue of the 1-year filing deadline. You need to file during your first year in the United States. If you don't do that, you'll be barred from asylum under what they call the 1-year filing deadline, unless you convince the asylum officer that you qualify for one of the 2 categories of exceptions to the 1-year filing deadline. And those are complicated. It's tricky stuff. We would need to talk with you in a lot of detail about your situation to tell you whether we think there's a chance of prevailing, of winning this argument about an exception to the 1-year filing deadline. Okay? All right. Have you had recent interviews in Seattle? What's your opinion about the office? Says VEMS2020. Yeah, we won a case yesterday. The case I was just saying that we got the approval notice for yesterday was from Seattle. So that the question that was like, what is your opinion about the office? It's good because listen, Seattle is handled by the San Francisco Asylum Office. There is no asylum office in Seattle. People that live in Washington State are under the jurisdiction of the San Francisco Asylum Office. This means their case is handled by San Francisco. The San Francisco Asylum Office sends officers, they travel to Seattle, and they perform interviews at the Seattle Asylum Office. In fact, we got one yesterday from someone in Seattle, and I got one last week also from someone in Seattle. One of my longtime clients that I was really proud to win, proud that he won. So we've had 2 in the last week that have won from Seattle. It's a good place because, again, it's under San Francisco. San Francisco usually has the highest approval rate of all the asylum offices in the entire country. So, yeah, it's good. All right. Listen, that's it for today. We should talk. If you have questions, if you want to see if we might be able to help you, go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Go there and schedule an asylum strategy session so that we can see if we think we might be able to help you. All right. WINASYLUM.com. And we want to talk. All right. Listen, keep the faith. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a slog the next 4 years under Trump in asylum, but it's not impossible to win. We're winning cases. We're going to keep winning cases. All right. Until next time, I'm Brian Manning. It's truly a pleasure and an honor to support you, to serve you in your asylum journey, everyone. Have a great afternoon or morning if you're out on the West Coast, our West Coast friends.